speaking on what someone said, because someone said a home is a liability and not an asset as far as building wealth, unless you're taking mortgage on an investment property and not personal residence.
And I disagree with that.
I do too. Here's why I disagree with the home being a liability, because you're gaining appreciation. Yes, you have to pay for it, and that is a liability. Dave Ramsey calls it a liability.
Well,
he does. He calls it a liability because you're having to pay. So what they're saying is you're having to pay on something, but the problem is what they aren't saying is you're paying something down, so you're gaining more equity by paying down the principal. So you're paying down the principal, so yes, it is a liability that you have to pay. However, the other piece is they aren't taking into consideration the appreciation,
right,
or the fact that you could sell the home and get out of it.
Or correct, or you have to always look at replacement costs too, because what are you doing instead of owning a home? You're paying rent, something that scales up each and every year. So, I mean, you not only do you have, like, yes, there's an expense in a home, and the first, 2-3 years, it's probably going to be a little more. But year 3 comes, you're paying less, and you're going to keep paying less because, and we talked about the value of a 30-year mortgage. You're locked into that for 30 years,
right,
for a fixed interest rate.
100%.
So I don't understand how it is a liability in that context, because
I don't think it is a liability. That's somebody who saw a TikTok video, and were convinced. What was your question, Donovan? You started to say something.
Well, they were just saying like interest, insurance, maintenance, all of that takes a lot of money.
It does take a lot of money.
It does.
That's true. And that's why I also say not everybody should buy a primary residence right now. Right. There's some people who should not buy a primary residence because it's not the right time in their life. There's always going to be opportunity out there to make money.
Correct. But people who think that it's not a good investment, that's who we're trying to reach. I mean, we're trying to reach everyone because it is a good investment.
I want everybody to know that at some point in your life, you need to own a primary residence. And if you want, you can build wealth through real estate. That's what I want everybody to know. It doesn't mean right now is the right time for everybody.
And you know what? I take it back.
Okay, take it back.
Real estate is considered a liability. You know where it's a liability? On your taxes, because you can write off owning a home and interest on your taxes. You cannot write off rent. So you're talking about the extra expenses. Guess what? You're going to save on your taxes owning a home.
Right. But that's also not the reason to buy a house. It's a benefit of buying a house.
Exactly.
But I will also say this. You just said something that a lot of people in this country think is very controversial now, that you should try to pay less taxes. I think that you should try to pay less taxes. Yeah, there's a lot of people who think it's controversy that people should be paying more and contributing more, even though they're now, if you make over $400,000, the government's now going to take 39.6% of that.
Look, my thing, if
39.6%, they're almost like, that's a huge cut.
If the government is out there, yes, if it is legal that you can do something, take advantage of it and do it. That is a smart way to do things.
Do you know what's theft? Taxes are theft. Taxes are illegal. Taxes are unconstitutional. Donovan, when you get your paycheck, did you wish the government takes less taxes so that you would have more money in your pocket?
Yes, always.
Do you think, and you can answer however you want, I'm not trying to call you out, but I know what Ben thinks on this because he copies everything I say. I'm just kidding, Ben. You don't. He's
first off, I don't.
No, most people who are in business think this way, but do you think that you make better decisions with your money than somebody else can make with your money? So do you think that if you get your paycheck, right?
Yeah.
When you get that money and you pay your rent, you pay your bills, you buy food, you go out and you have a good time with your friends and family, things of that nature. Do you think that if you're making good decisions with that money, do you think that if you took that money and handed it to somebody else and then they made the decisions of what you do with your money without consulting you, do you think that your decision making would be better than somebody who's just telling you?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Right. So the government takes our money and doesn't even consult us on what they're doing with that money. And, you want to know what I would be really happy with? If they improved our infrastructure instead of sending a bunch of money to a foreign country who's fighting a war with another foreign country that who cares?
You know, who would do that?
And obviously I don't say who cares about the people in the country who are getting hurt, because I do care about that. I don't want people getting hurt. But we shouldn't be so involved.
We shouldn't be, printing more money than the average, than what the total savings for the entire country.
Let's change the subject, though. I don't want to keep getting political. What's the next comment, Donovan?
Someone said Dave Ramsey costs many people home ownership, but then someone else disagreed and said his advice teaches you how to not be house poor.
I wish I had more context on what they mean about how he cost them home ownership.
Yeah. Probably because of talking them out of it, from saying you need to do a 15-year. most people, that's a cash flow thing. A lot of people can't afford a 15-year because you're buying.
Right. It is a cash flow thing. So maybe he has talked some people out of it. But what he's also done is if they actually follow his plan strictly,
right,
they've paid off all their debt.
Yeah.
So then they gain more cash flow by paying off their debt. And then they do what? They put the money aside and they are able to do a 20% down payment with a 15-year mortgage.
Yeah, someone said if you listen to his podcast, he suggests 20%, but he isn't against 10% down. So
yes,
it
that's
just
true.
depends, I guess, how much you put down.
So Dave Ramsey's old now, and I have a lot of respect for Dave Ramsey. I did Dave Ramsey to get out of personal debt.
Yeah. It's great for personal debt.
And Dave Ramsey's speaking to a crowd that doesn't have self-control.
Yeah.
So if I was talking to somebody who I watch go out and take, $300 a weekend taking shots and partying and eating out and so on and so forth, I would tell them you need to follow Dave Ramsey. Make a budget, know where every single dollar is going. So we should be doing that anyways. That's financial literacy. Don't gamble with your money, right? Dave Ramsey also says that if you have enough money, you can put money into certain things that are riskier. But until you have enough money, don't risk your money, which I think is a good concept. So, and he's not against the 10% down, I don't think.
Yeah, someone said he teaches you how to have self-discipline. Nobody has taught more people to become wealthy than Ramsey.
That's true.
Oh, agreed.
He creates what you call an everyday millionaire, right? An everyday millionaire who like there was a bus driver. I watch his podcast, right? I watch his YouTube clips. There was a bus driver on there who got paid off all of her debt, worked on a bus driver salary, which was $36,000 a year, invested and had a budget and invested the way Dave Ramsey says to invest. And guess what? Retired with over $1 million in a 401k and is going to be living very comfortably. And here's the other piece that the Dave Ramsey plan, the total money makeover teaches you. There's 7 baby steps in it. And one of the things it teaches you is when you get rid of that debt, your stress goes away.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Like, even though you might be able to invest in something that's earning more than the interest that you're paying,
Right.
there's a stress involved with that because there is risk. So if you like to live a good life, a happy life, you can be debt free, making investments and budget your money to where you can still go out to eat. But Dave Ramsey does teach discipline. And he's teaching people how to have self-control, and this country needs more of that.
Right. And he also helped a lot of people too, because those credit card debts, like with those interest rates right now.
Oh, he's helped way more people than he's hurt. Another person that he's going after is timeshares.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a money pit.
Well, no, he's going after him hard because of there needs to be some regulation around timeshares. I mean, it is just not right, and it costs so many people so much.
What do you mean by that?
You think timeshares are good?
No, I don't. But what do you mean by unregulations?
Meaning, like, you're allowed to be into this like lifetime contract where there's no way of getting out of it, and you can't. You
can't donate them.
Can't donate them. Can't like. There's
a
nothing.
lot of times.
Right,
Yeah.
they're impossible to get out of. Like they're written in a way that they're impossible to get out of, and life changes.
Yeah.
You want flexibility and options, which is why I argue for a 30-year mortgage, because you're paying less and you have that flexibility of your cash flow and stuff. Yeah, not a fan of the timeshares, and we can get more into that in a different episode. When I see
the last comment says, big surprise, people whose income depend on you getting a mortgage recommend you get the biggest mortgage. You agree? Disagree?
The biggest mortgage, so they're taking 30 years as the biggest mortgage.
They were talking about you guys. They said people whose income depend on you getting a mortgage.
So we pretend our income depends on them getting into a mortgage.
But what do you mean by where do we recommend that they get the largest mortgage? The 30-year, we don't get any different.
Yeah, no, we get paid the same whether they get 30-year, 15-year, 10-year, 5-year. So the comment is it's an ignorant comment. Yeah. And I don't like ignorant means they're just uneducated. What was the username?
It'll be great.
That's the username. It will be great.
Yep.
So it will be great. Let me help you become great.
So
the biggest mortgage, a 30-year mortgage is not the biggest mortgage. A 30-year mortgage is actually the smallest payment on the same size mortgage as if you got a 15-year, right? And here's the other piece is if somebody was to ask me, hey, should I buy a $400,000, $300,000, $200,000 house? I would tell them that they should buy what they're comfortable with. So when Ben and I are having a conversation with a client, we give them multiple different options. We'll give them a 10-year, a 15-year. We'll give them different loan programs, different loan options, different down payment options so that they can see a breakdown of all the costs and all the payments on it's called the total cost analysis, and they know every single dollar. So if they're going to buy a home, which people are going to buy homes, we are going to give them multiple options. They'll look at the options and then they'll decide. We aren't here pushing anybody to get into a mortgage. We aren't pushing anybody to buy a house. We aren't pushing anybody to do anything. We're saying it's a smart decision if it's the right point in your life. And then we're going to give you the facts and the information. We're going to be a tool for you to be able to make the best decision for you and your family. You will never hear me tell somebody, buy the $400,000 house, because that's the biggest mortgage, right? Not $400,000, but if it was a $400,000 versus $200,000, you would never see me push somebody to a $400,000 instead of a $200,000 because of compensation or benefit to me. I would never do it. I tell people 30-year and take advantage of the different, because you're gaining equity and you're gaining appreciation in the home. So It will be great. You should become great. And, before you judge us and trying to push something just to make money, maybe get to know us.
Right. I mean, our job is
watch
to
our full
educate.
episode.
Our job is to educate and provide options.
Period. I'm a tool.
Which is
I'm
what
a
we
tool.
do.
And you want to know what I love?
What?
Watching people succeed.
Right.